Discuss the Boolean data type. Values can be compared to determine their relationship. Comparing two values results in the true and false result discussed in the introduction. Numeric values always have one value that is less than or equal to or greater than another. That is the only three possible relationships of two numeric values. To test those relationships, Java provides 6 relational operators: less than or equal, not equal, greater than or greater than, which follow their normal arithmetic meanings learned from algebra. One quick note here. Notice the equals is a double symbol. Remember, the assignment operator uses that symbol once. Using these operators allows a program to determine cases where different code should execute based on a condition. For example, taking the square root of a negative number is undefined. Therefore, any attempt to do so should be prohibited. What we've learned so far would not allow us to do that. We need to make a decision before we take a square root. To determine the proper course of action, we need to test the number and see if it is negative. If so, we don't want to take the square root. Perhaps we ought to issue an error message or throw an exception. If the number is equal to 0 or greater, we can take the square root. This example tests the value to determine if it's greater than or equal to 0. If so, the square root function is called, and we should return a good value. Otherwise, we throw an exception saying that we can't take the square root. The Boolean data type has these characteristics. The interpretation is false or true. There are two literals defined in the Java language, false and true, that represent those values. Consider them to mean no or yes, off, on, false, true. The range of values is very narrow. It's those two literals, false, true. The set of operations on it are those 6 relational operators. And later in this chapter, we will discuss logical operators, that is and or. We can combine those relational operators into a complex expression. Even then, it will always resolve to a single true or false value. The memory characteristics of a Boolean is not meaningful to a programmer, so we'll ignore it. Selecting options is done by testing that condition and determining what to do. We will go down either the true path if the condition is true, or the false path if the condition is false. This allows a program to select between 2 options. Technically, every selection statement selects exactly between 2 options. One option may be a do nothing, so it appears at first that we only have one option, but doing nothing is a good second option. If we have multiple options from which to select, there is a mathematical determination for how many tests we need to execute to determine that option. If we have n options, we must have exactly n minus 1 selection statements. For example, if we have 3 options, we must have 2 tests. The first test would eliminate one option. The second test would eliminate a second option, leaving the third option as the only remaining possibility, which must be selected.